Welcome to the first episode of the Activism of Today. I'm your host, Sarah Sulewski. A little bit about me. I'm a college student and a senior at the Tennessee State University. I'm captain of Tennessee State University's speech and debate team, and I travel the world as a competitive speaker. I come all the way from Orange County, California, where I am also a speech and debate coach for the Santa Ana Unified School District. Tonight we welcome our special guest, A.L.K to the mic. A little bit about him. On his 27th birthday, Ray's greatest fear came to life when he was diagnosed with AIDS. Realizing his victim mindset, he was determined to change and regain control of his life. 7 years later, Ray is now a pro-natural competitive physique bodybuilder. And in realizing that so few role models existed for the HIV community, he now talks about his HIV status on social media in hopes of providing guidance and inspiration to others. With a growing YouTube subscribership and following on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, he shares his life and his journey living with HIV, embracing a fitness lifestyle, personal growth-oriented, and inspirationally inclined. Welcome to the show, A.L.K.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so honored to speak with you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Yes, so you are such an inspiration, and so is your journey. So could you tell us a little bit more about your journey through your diagnosis and when that all started?
Yeah, so like you said, I was diagnosed on my 27th birthday with AIDS, and it was a complete shock to me because at the time I was in what I thought was a 3.5-year monogamous committed relationship. So, STIs was the last thing on my mind. I thought I was just getting sick. And, shortly after that, found out that the person I was seeing had been cheating and talking to other guys and whatnot. And it kind of just, everything came to a head. My entire life, I just kind of got really introspective and asked myself, okay, how did I get here? And what did I do that was in my control that brought me to this point where I was in an unhealthy relationship, and I realized that I've been living most of my life with a victim mentality, and I've been kind of, and I was the victim of experiences and circumstances and whatever life brought to my table and the cards that I hadn't been dealt, and I realized that fundamentally had to change if I was going to reclaim my life and take the control back. And so that's really what spurred me into my fitness passion, which later became bodybuilding and all that. So, yeah.
Right. Wow, and that is just amazing. And I like what you touched on when you said the victim mindset. Could you elaborate a little bit more about why you don't want to stay in that state, especially when it comes to having this diagnosis?
Yeah. So, just a little backstory. I did have a pretty traumatic childhood. I was in hiding for a lot of my life and dealt with alcohol abuse and physical abuse and just not really good situations and, being bullied and stuff like that. And so I just want a disclaimer for a lot of people, there was a point in my life where I truly was a victim. It just became an issue once I went through adolescence and my teenage years and into adulthood, and I didn't reclaim myself, and I kind of let that become my narrative and inform my perception of reality and life throughout my adulthood. But the reason why that was so pivotal with HIV is that the HIV doesn't define the trajectory of my life or most of my life today. So it really was my choice. Okay, I've been diagnosed with AIDS. What am I going to do now? Am I going to go down a downward spiral and feel bad for myself and do unhealthy things? Or am I going to go the opposite route? And so that I had to overcome that victim mindset for me to be able to really transgress that and get to a better place.
Right, and it was all about that choice, right? They say life is all about choices, so you can choose. You can't always choose the cards that you're dealt, but you can choose how you respond, right? What you do with that.
100%.
100%, yes. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to speak their truth about their diagnosis, but maybe is struggling with that?
Okay. Yeah. I would say that it's different for everybody. Everybody has their own personal journey. There is no specific roadmap for you. Everybody has to do what is right for them and feels right for them. But regardless, there's going to be a point where talking about it will be uncomfortable. So if you're waiting to reach a point where it's like, oh, okay, like I feel 100% about it now, like no worries, that's probably never going to happen. So if you want to talk about it, you're going to have to push past a little bit of uncomfortability. But it's just good to know that you are confident in yourself, that you have a healthy amount of self-love, self-confidence, that you aren't like totally reliant on the opinions of others, and that you have a really healthy, strong support system, whether it's family, friends, online community. Those are all things that can help, guide you and support you when you decide to go public with something like that can still have a lot of really negative backlash.
Right, and just pushing past that fear. I feel like all of those things that you said is really, you have to push past the fear of it all. There's fear in a couple different areas, especially with this diagnosis. So pushing past that and accepting that it's there. Yes, would you say?
No, absolutely, totally.
Yes. So could you explain the difference between having HIV and having AIDS?
Yeah. So HIV is the virus itself that we're all very familiar with. AIDS, that's what gets misunderstood a lot. AIDS is a syndrome. That is the state that your immune system is in once it's been compromised by the virus. So specifically, in medical terms, they measure your CD4 count. It's a type of white blood cell. And once it gets below a certain threshold, then you cross into AIDS territory. So once it's below 200, then you are considered to have AIDS or the syndrome. But it is possible with treatment to reverse your immune system and for your CD4 to go back up and then to not be in that AIDS area.
Gotcha. And from my understanding, the medication, like from back when this first came out, is a lot more advanced now. Is that correct? The medication to treat HIV and AIDS?
Yeah, it does not even compare. Like I feel so lucky that I have acquired it now and not then, because it was rough. I mean, even when I was diagnosed 7 years ago, the pill that I was put on had really, really bad side effects. And it got to the point where my doctor thought I was binge drinking every day because my kidneys were just like that of an alcoholic. And I told her, I was like, Dr. Rochelle, like I have not been drinking at all. So she's like, okay, well, it's definitely the medication. And I think I had bone density loss. I would have vivid dreams, hallucinations. Like that was 7 years ago.
My goodness.
And then flash forward to today, I'm taking one pill once a day, and I have zero side effects.
Yeah, that's a huge, huge difference. My goodness, that's huge. Amazing. Yeah. So what are some of the most common misconceptions that you believe the general public has about those living with HIV and AIDS?
That I was going to die. That's probably like numero uno. I mean, I thought I was going to be dead in 2 or 3 years. I was like, okay, so life's over. So what am I going to do until then? That's a big one. And a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their head around the idea that you can live and be healthy and free from the effects of HIV when you have HIV. So, for example, I would tell people, and they'd be like, oh man, like I'm so sorry. And I'm like, oh, don't be sorry. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm actually the healthiest I've ever been. And then they would turn around and be like, yeah, but like, I mean, it must be rough when you get like a cold or a flu or something. And I go, no, actually, it has zero impact on my health and my body. Like, it's just like anybody else. And they're like, oh, okay. So like, but when you get sick though,
But when you get sick,
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Now, those conversations, have they gotten better over time? Like the awkwardness, I guess, of those, or are they still kind of the same, annoying kind of questions that keep happening?
I feel like they're slowly, progressively getting better. I still have the rare instance. I mean, unfortunately, I live in a pretty progressive area in Los Angeles, but there is the rare exception when I do face a certain stigma. And then I would say most recently, with the advent of U equals U or undetectable equals untransmittable, that is so new that people are still very skeptical, even in the medical community.
Could you explain a little bit more about what that means? I think our audience definitely needs to understand what you just said. So the undetectable.
Would love to. You equals you is a campaign that was started a few years ago, and as of, I think, a year ago or so, the CDC also agreed, the WHO, as well as many organizations internationally and countries, all agree that when a person becomes undetectable, they are no longer able to sexually transmit the HIV virus to another person. And what undetectable means is that's another marker that doctors look for when they're doing our routine lab work. So typically they look for the HIV virus itself in our bloodstream. But when the medication and the treatment is doing its job really well, the test can no longer detect it in the blood. And at that point, studies have shown over years that nobody is transmitting the virus anymore sexually.
Wow. And that
crazy,
you learn
right?
Something new you learn something new every day. I know.
We sure do.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. Thank you so much for that.
And even parents are able to have, say if there's one positive parent and she's undetectable or he's undetectable, they're able to have a negative child together as well.
Wow. And that is good information for people to understand too, because I think there's so many things that the general public is still unaware of, the basic facts like that. And so having this conversation is definitely needed more often, I believe.
It's so needed.
For sure. So my next question for you is, now, why do you believe there are so little activists within this community?
Stigma. Hands down.
Stigma?
Easy. Totally stigma. Yep. Not just the stigma of the disease itself and the fear around that, and the implications that if you have HIV, then you are probably having sex recklessly and just not really caring about your body, but also for the heterosexual community, straight men have a hesitance to come forward about it because then there's the stigma that people will assume that they're gay or that they had to have had sex with another man to get it. And with women, a lot of people, if they get it from their husband or the guy that they're seeing, they'll be like, oh, did he go out on you and hook up with a guy or something like that? There's just so many layers of stigma there. Yeah,
and it seems like there's still that strong tie for HIV and AIDS being linked to the LGBTQIA community, especially linked to gay men. And that's unfortunate that there's the lack of knowledge there, because I've witnessed that in conversations with people, and they still link it to specifically gay men, but that's not what's going on here.
No, and unfortunately in the U.S., last year, the highest incidence of the rate of HIV infection was among African-American women. So it's people need to realize that it does not discriminate.
It does not discriminate, gender, race, or what have you. It goes across the board. Yes, for sure. Would you say that this conversation is had enough within the LGBTQIA community in general, since we're talking about that?
No, I don't think so either at all. No. There have been some people coming forward recently with their HIV diagnosis, but overall, I think that it's still very hush-hush, and there's not enough of an understanding about it still.
And hopefully with more conversations like this, we're going to change that. So
and role models and examples in the media, I think that's so important.
Exposure, for sure, and getting that across the media, absolutely. And you're contributing to that, so thank you for your work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important that we humanize it too, and we realize that it's a human being with a virus and we are not the virus or our diagnosis.
Yes. So, Rafe, you're a natural physique bodybuilder. So could you tell us a little bit more about how fitness has changed your life?
Yeah. So, like I said, after I realized I needed to do some major work, and I did all my dream boarding and meditating and reading self-help books and motivational books and all that, I was like, I'm going to go to the gym and really take care of my physical health. So the gym I just found to be a really cool place where I could let out all my energy and like focus and see physical change in myself that was good and positive and getting more energy. And over time, eventually, one of the trainers at the gym that I was training at was like, hey, have you ever considered competing? And I was like, no, I haven't. He told me about men's physique. So, because I always thought about like those big, huge, giant, like overgrown bodybuilders. And I'm like, I'm not interested in that. But he told me about the physique bodybuilders that are, you know, the guys in board shorts and they're just like super ripped, cut, and really symmetric. And I'm like, that's something I could aspire to. So I ended up training with him and coaching, and he got me ready for my first competition. And then from there, I was just like, this is awesome. I freaking love it. And it's cool because it's like a physical manifestation of my growth, health-wise, and just becoming stronger.
Yes, that is so beautiful. That's so awesome. That's a great story. And then you said a physical manifestation. I love that.
Yeah.
And fun fact, my grandfather was a bodybuilder, so that's kind of I'm like that was a cool little connection there. So yeah.
He must have been like in the golden era of bodybuilding.
Yes, his name is Bill Howard. You can look him up.
Yeah, I will. That's awesome.
Yes. Yes. So you have a YouTube channel. So can you tell us more about the types of videos you produce on your channel?
Yeah. So originally I was just gonna do like a fitness channel, and then at a certain point, I felt really, really driven to start talking about HIV because of the fact that I wasn't seeing any role models in the media or online. And I'm like,
right.
Every time I bring up HIV, people would reference Magic Johnson, and that was 30 years ago. I'm like, what about all the millions of people in between? How come there's no voices, especially our age and our generation? So I kind of was just like, I have to do it. Like, I feel like I didn't have a choice. And so I started talking about HIV, and I immediately got an incredible response, and people were so thankful and so encouraging, and that was really, really motivating. People from all over the world were like, oh my God, like I haven't spoken to anybody about it. I'm scared. I don't have a support system. And it really encouraged me to keep going and not only talk about that and fitness, but then I just started to incorporate like growth in general and just becoming a better human being and having discussions that aren't being had. Just everything that's important to me, basically.
And that is so, and we need more of that, like especially now, especially for this generation. Like you're really doing that work, and you really are doing the work of an activist. So thank you again for that. I'm probably going to say thank you more before this is over because you're just amazing. So thank you so much for putting yourself out there and sharing your growth and your journey, because that's going to help somebody else who's in a similar position as you, and they're going to have somebody to look up to between that 30 gap, years.
Honestly, I don't know any other way to be. Ever since I was a little kid, I've just always been super honest, super open and transparent, and I just like being vulnerable. So like it just comes really, really naturally to me, and I fucking love it. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Would you say that that's part of the reason why you believe activism in this day and age is so important? Like, why would you say it's so important?
Yeah, I think activism is crucial, and there's so many different kinds of activism.
Yes.
I would say that I'm just more of like a day-to-day like activist in being willing to just be myself confidently, unapologetically for the public in a way that helps reshape like the public discussion around important issues.
Yes, those are some of my favorite types of activists. No favoritism, but I definitely love that type of work. And I feel like that's the work that I want to really get into as an activist, as well as many more, but definitely doing exactly
what you want to do with your, what you're doing. It's like on a grassroots level where we just connect human to human and talk about really important things.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. You got it. So what are some ways to get involved in supporting the HIV/AIDS community that you would recommend for the public?
There's definitely many nonprofit organizations that you can donate to. I work with several of them. For example, also AIDS Healthcare Foundation, they have It's called Out of the Closet thrift stores, where you can donate. I think 99 cents to every dollar goes. The proceeds go to HIV care and stuff like that. There's AIDS walks happening everywhere and fundraising for that. And then just on a human level, just adding to the discussion, whether it's in personal life, with your coworkers, or online on social media, contributing in a positive, tolerant kind of way.
Yes, perfect. So, how can listeners follow you on social media and learn more information about you and what you're doing? If you feel comfortable shouting some of those out for us.
Totally, of course. So basically, my socials are all my name, Raif Derazi, which is spelled RAIFDERRAZI. So you can look for that on YouTube or Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's all under my name.
Perfect. Well, I just want to thank you so much for having this conversation with me. This has been amazing. You've been a great first guest for my show, and I'm so happy that I was able to get you.
Thank you so much, and I love what you're doing, so excited for that.
All right, well, I will talk to you soon. Thank you again.
Okay, take care. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Activists of Today. I have been your host, Sarah Sulewski. I would like to give a special thanks to my boss, Ashley Little, and you all may follow me on Facebook at Sarah Sulewski or on Instagram at Sarah_Sulewski. Thank you.